It's it's like a small talk,
Okay. Tell me about yourselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
How long have you guys been doing this podcast?
Actually, 1 year.
Really?
It's not. It's not.
It's live.
It's alive. It's alive.
It's alive.
Okay.
We're live? Okay.
Podemos parar de falar besteiras?
Besteira? Não, agora que eu
Não.
vou começar a falar
Agora que
besteira.
começa.
Agora que começa.
Ah, sim, não tem... não precisa se preocupar com as palavras.
You don't need to worry about the vocab. You can say whatever you want.
Okay,
Curse,
it's an
whatever.
adult
You know,
station?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
an adult station.
All right. That sounds good.
Sobe um pouquinho
Sim.
teu pop.
Ah, o pop.
Esse
Senão
bagulhinho.
esse bagulho vai ficar estourando.
Bagulho doido
Não, mas
aqui.
não tem problema você ficar.
É? Fica controlando.
Tenta encostar ele em cima, assim mesmo, assim, ó. Gira ele encosta
Assim?
isso.
Eu acho que eu vou ficar longe, Lucas.
Tá. Melhor?
Beleza, manda ver.
Beleza.
Bom, estamos ao vivo?
Então, vamos ver.
Bom, vamos para a próxima aí, pessoal. Aqui a gente está prolixo hoje.
Bombando.
Bombando, né? Então, sou eu de novo aqui, o Vaz, aqui com o Rodrigo Hades, né? Vamos pedir para você se apresentar. A gente vai falar em inglês, vai falar em português, depois...
E a gente pode tentar falar até um pouco em espanhol também.
Ah, um pouquinho de espanhol?
Sí, hablo español mucho.
Ni um pouquinho.
Entiendo portugués si lo hablas muy despacio.
Ah, ok.
Muy despacio.
Muito.
Muito fácil. Eu vou pedir para vocês se apresentarem. Pô, começa por você primeiro, depois vamos para o Rigo.
Boa tarde, pessoal. Meu nome é Davi Benheim. Isso. Eu tenho uma empresa de treinamentos chamada Benheim Treinamentos Defensivos. Eu já trabalho com treinamento há algum tempo. Há mais tempo do que isso, eu trabalho com segurança privada. E conheci o Rigo em 2016, na Europa. Acabamos ficando amigos e ele começou a vir para o Brasil. A gente começou a desenvolver alguns projetos aqui. Eu comecei a ir mais para os Estados Unidos, né? Eu já ia bastante, mas comecei a ir para Phoenix, visitar ele lá, ele está em Phoenix. E a empresa representa ele aqui, nós representamos ele aqui no Brasil. Então, ele esteve aqui agora esse ano, em junho, julho. O Rodrigão até teve num dos nossos cursos lá em Curitiba, na ABA. Nós tivemos
sensacional, dias por passagem.
3 datas em Londrina.
Ahorita yo entiendo todo.
Ah.
Hablas despacio.
Yeah.
Él me
Eu estou falando despacio para que possa compreender. E tivemos 2 datas em Londrina, uma data em São Paulo, uma data em Natal. E a ideia é trazer o conhecimento e a experiência profissional dele. Quando ele começar a falar sobre a experiência dele, vocês vão ver que é um pouco diferente do que a gente vê no mercado hoje aqui no Brasil. E vamos em frente, né? Ano que vem, mais para frente, a gente pode falar um pouco mais sobre isso. Mas já temos já uma janela de datas aí para o tour do ano que vem.
Já que você entrou no assunto, né? Dá uma prévia do que a gente estava conversando antes.
Como funciona? O Rigo ele vai explicar um pouco melhor em detalhes, mas a TechFlow, que é a empresa dele, TechFlow Academy, hoje ela instrui basicamente forças armadas, né, military e law enforcement, né, e forças policiais nos Estados Unidos. Então, ele tem agenda geralmente o ano inteiro, né, de departamento em departamento, agências de 3 letras, unidades militares. E durante junho e julho, né, que ele mora em Phoenix, no Arizona, fica muito quente lá e o budget dos departamentos também já foi todo entregue. Então, eles estão começando a preparar o budget para a instrução para o próximo exercício que começa em agosto. Então, é um período mais lento lá. Então, a gente combinou, né, que todo ano, entre esse período aí de junho a agosto...
Nosso inverno, né?
Ele tem essa disponibilidade de vir para cá e principalmente pelo nosso relacionamento também, pela nossa amizade.
Pô, legal. Well, Rigo.
Es mucho calor también.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, extremely hot.
Mas aqui também está muito.
Pô, ele é um cara de...
Como Arizona muy calor.
Arizona is kind of crazy. I saw some pictures of those cars' bumpers like melting.
Yes.
Yeah.
It gets really hot during the summer, so I thought it was very, very good timing to come to Brazil and say hello. So it was very.
And this is our winter. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's still better than
Than
100 and
yeah, yeah.
something right now. So.
Well, here in too, because in Curitiba, it's not freezing cold like more than in the US, but it's.
Now we
cold enough.
were there.
It was cold.
It was July,
July.
first week of July,
Yeah.
and we were like driving from São Paulo. So I went to check the temperature, and it was like -3. And I said, okay, we need to buy gear,
Layers.
winter gear. So we went to the shop and we bought base layers, jackets, but we got 0 there, negative, right? No, 0, -1, something like that.
Curitiba, né?
Yeah, Curitiba.
Yeah.
Não, em 4 barras, que é diferente.
Yeah.
Na verdade, borda do campo é um clima diferente de Curitiba de 4 barras.
Agora, eu morei 1 ano e 1 mês na Polônia, então eu peguei -23, então não tem.
O maior problema aqui de frio aqui é que a gente tem frio, mas a gente não é preparado para frio, né?
The worst problem here with cold weather is because they face cold weather, but the Brazilians, they're not acquainted. Yeah, they're not used to cold weather. They're not ready. They're not prepared.
Yeah, my brother lives in Vancouver, so it's pretty chilly.
Yeah.
And he said
It's pretty.
he gets less chilly there than back here in Brazil.
Really?
Yeah, because we're not used to have like an air conditioner on everything, so it's a place that takes that lives in cold.
Yeah.
Most of the time is pretty much warm.
Yeah.
You just get chilly when you get outside your car and stuff. But anyway, Rigo Durazo, please introduce yourself. Tell your story, please.
Ok, me Rigo Durazo. Bye.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all.
I try very on purpose not to become an influencer. My opinion matters. I work hard at what I do, and usually people ask me to help and share, and that's when I come. That's kind of been my whole career. That's been even when I met him in Poland and the guys, I was brought there to come and evaluate the programs they were doing. They asked me to share. I shared a little bit. They asked me, they wanted to see more. And I said, you sure? I would show them a little bit more based on what I believed was consistent excellence. What does that look like? And so for me, I never found it on the internet. I'm older than a lot of the guys in the community. I'm 50 years old now. So I come from a time where I didn't look people up to measure my success.
Right.
I just worked hard for me. And it was only when I got in front of other people that they were able to see that the quality of my work was substantial. Okay. So they would ask me, how did you get that? So that's kind of been the process for the last 15 years or longer. I've been working with law enforcement and others, trying to show them the patterns to develop success in whatever they're doing in training. What's the problem you're trying to solve? What's it look like? How to have a calculated mind into your training and purposeful methods of training. And let me give you my representation or and I always tell people, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You do not have to listen to me. I am nobody who's forcing you to be here. But I'm going to share with you what I do and you can evaluate it. Because at the end of the day, I'm a coach. You are a player or the participant in what solutions you want. Come for me for certain things. Go to another instructor or coach for something else. I will give you why I do what I do. I will do my best to share and show you competent level of what it looks like so you can make the decision for yourself. So that's all I've ever wanted to do. I didn't want to say I'm the best instructor. I'm not the toughest guy in the room. I'm not this thing. So I try to stay humble, but I will say I work harder than most. Anybody who's known me for a long period of time and who sees me even now with all my grays, I'm usually working harder than most people who are half my age. Okay. And I don't post this to create like an Instagram following, like here's a 50-year-old guy, look how many push-ups he can do and all that. It's my own personal measuring of performance. What do I need to do to become or maintain a level of excellence that I want people to see for the first time? So if you go to my class, like you've been to my class and you've seen it, I want to make sure it's your first time seeing what I'm about to share, that it's impactful the first time you see it. And then you start to question inside. And I've been on the other side. I've been the student where I've seen a master at, you name it, master shooter, master hand. When I go, it's humbling to watch somebody that good. I wanted to make sure I was that. And so whatever that thing is that I'm going to share, I want to show you what it looks like, not to have you say how good I am, but to show you if you work and are given the instructions properly, you can become immeasurable and hopefully beyond me, because I'm a coach. If you play the game, you better be beyond me.
Yeah.
So I will never take offense if this guy leaving my class is showing me skills where I, wow. Okay. So, and I never, ever am intimidated by great people out there in the community, great instructors. I will go, that's a good instructor. Go see that person. Okay. So I try to stay out of the
ego game.
The ego game. I have an ego because
we all do.
That's what makes me work hard.
Right.
But so if you were to put me in a competition with somebody, I'm bringing my best game.
Yeah. Right.
But when I'm a coach, it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the students in your class and the participants. I'm there to try to get the best out of them. What does that look like? And that's hard because every class is different. Every class has a different problem, different personalities, different starting points. And I have to care enough about all the students in the class to care. That's it. You have to care that you want the best for them. And at the end of the day, they get to choose if they want your information or not. And then once they leave the class, that's when training starts. I'm giving them the
tools, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't be education and execution are two different worlds. Okay, you can be educated in all of this. You can talk about everything. Executing it is impossible without a lot of work. And then once you have executable success, either in the ring or in the streets or whatever it is, then it develops a belief system and a repetitive process where now you become operational, where you have no thought. And this is where it's where you go from good to great. Those are such different routes and takes so much work to get there, and most people have never seen it. Okay. Right. So I have had to go through all the steps, and it's definitely painful. It definitely takes a lot of work, a lot of mistakes, very much luck, a lot of luck to get to the point where you can at least share your successes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will always share all my failures and my mistakes because I'm still here. Right. Therefore, they weren't catastrophic, but they were enough for me to assess and go, wow, I did a lot of things wrong, and I'm still here. Why? And then I go, don't do that again. Be smart enough to don't redo that and train against it. So those are things I try to share. Like, I've been very lucky.
It seems to me you have a great sense of self-awareness of your journey, right?
I've had to, because a lot of the work that I did in security when I worked globally and did this, I was always very independent. I worked independently, not for any specific company or this. So I was not surrounded by Americans. I was always surrounded by other groups, other cultures. So if things went bad or wrong, the only one who could help me was me.
Right.
So I had to be self-aware, had to have a higher sense of problem solving. I couldn't make excuses. I had to come up with a solution. And like I always tell people, there's a lot of times you're afraid because you're going to places where nobody knows where you're going. And I have to rely on my training. So because that's the only thing you have, I would put everything I could into training. And so I didn't know until I came back and forth to the United States, and my peer group in the military and law enforcement would we get together and we start training together, they would look at my training and say, wow, who taught you that? Or how did you learn that? And it was honestly through a lot of self-discovery when you are trying to figure out ways to better yourself.
Right.
You're developing new methods and things that work for you. They weren't developed to work for everybody. They were for me. I was in the game, so I wanted to make sure I could do things better. It wasn't until some of the guys I knew from the military were asking me to share with them what I was doing. I was kind of surprised that they would want me, because I wasn't in the military, to share anything.
Right.
You know, like, you guys are awesome. You guys are, you know, like, I'm here to listen to you, but they're like, no, please share with me. So there's guys in the community who I respect so much. I thank them for actually not telling me to not do what I do. They actually encouraged me to continue. They said, what you're doing is unique. It's awesome. You got to continue that route, because I was a lone journeyman in that route at the time. And so I always thank guys like that. And I don't want to say their names because they might not want me to say their names, but I thank them even to today. I tell them, hey, I'm not anywhere without guys who it could have been easy. Somebody could have said to me, hey, don't do what you're doing. It's stupid, you know? Because we in the Marine Corps always do it this way. That doesn't look like Marine Corps. Or that's a Navy SEAL. That doesn't look like that. They said, what you're doing is unique and it's effective. Share. And I was like, really? You want me to share my stuff?
Yeah.
And so that to me was strange. So that's how I kind of got started. I got introduced to Chris Kyle. Long story short, he and I became friends.
Right.
And I always tell people we weren't great friends. We developed a very unique friendship over time. Like, you know, it's like this. American culture is different than out here. Out here, we hug each other. Brazilians hug, they thank each other. This in the United States, it's like, it's, you know, we're kind of guarded. You know, we like, you know, we shake hands.
Yeah.
There's a level of respect, right?
Well, it's not respect. We have barriers because we're always very judgmental, like, and they're very competitive.
Right.
Okay, so like we're always looking at each other and
Measuring
well,
up,
you think
right?
you're tough, I'm tough too. You know, like, so we're very we don't want to show any weaknesses at all to each other. So when I teach classes to law enforcement, I make it a common practice that when I give everybody their certificate, I give them a man hug and say, hey man, welcome to the table of guys who worked hard to earn this. And that's so strange because they don't do that.
Yeah.
And I made sure that they understand that I come from a brotherhood and we bleed together. And say, so we're willing to work. We're willing to put in the work. So I wanted to make sure that that's how I was coached and trained. I wanted anywhere I go, I'm like, I'm breaking down walls. I don't care the etiquette that exists. I don't care in the military. I'm going to grab anybody because I don't come from the military. I don't come from that culture. I'm coming from a brotherhood, and it's different. So I've been able to get away with it because people go, he doesn't know better.
It's okay, right?
I'm okay. I'll break the rules to be at least say, hey man, I appreciate you being 100% student because I'm going to be 100% coach. Okay, I'll give you as much as you give me, and I'll give you my best. Okay?
It's the only commitment you have to be
I can
great
only-
that you are, right?
I can only be good if you allow me to share, and so you have to be the equal participant. So in a relationship, sorry about that,
No worries.
in a relationship of student and teacher or student coach, you have to give 100%.
Right.
And so do I. And at that moment, we will come out of this thing very, very good together. Okay. If you go there and you're going in there with, I'm coming here to prove something, whatever, I'm like, you know what? I say this, sorry if I'm mumbling.
No worries.
Give me your 100%. And at the end of my program, whatever my program is, you can tell me was the worst shit you've ever listened to or the dumbest thing. Don't drink my Kool-Aid. It's stupid. This guy's dumb. Okay. You have the right to do that. You have a vote in your education. But through the education, allow me to progress, to share with you the science of what I've been helping promote, and give me at least that opportunity. That's it. And then tell me I'm this is the dumbest thing you've ever done. So if we can do that, then we go. Usually within the first hour to 2 hours, you can see the mental shift in the students already starting to happen, correct?
Yeah, and I've been with him like probably on 25 courses or let's say events, and as I'm assisting, I'm watching, and you start like it doesn't take not even an hour, like sometimes 15 minutes, maybe less. You see people, even those who, because he has different way of working. As I told you in the beginning, it's not civilian driven.
Yeah.
So he rarely run courses for civilians. So he does here because of us, and you see like the face is changing, and the guy's like, "Fuck, what did I just see?" You know, like, and it's all over. You know, like never heard like, okay, this shit. You know, like I never heard like after 25, 30 courses. They always come and say, when are you going to teach your next class? I want more. You know, like.
It's impactful, right?
Eu tô nessa expectativa. Tô na mesma.
So I was known more for my combatives and my hands-on. I have a lot of training education. So when I first started sharing with the community, everybody wanted to see my hands of how I solve problems. Okay, the combatives that I did. I come from a family system. I was trained like, if you were to say Mr. Miyagi and my son, I come from a coach who is highly skilled, has been there operationally as in the military. He got to work in the laboratory of lethal engagements so he has a background that when I first met him, I was nervous and scared. And I was scared of nobody. I started fighting since I was 5 years old. I boxed, I wrestled, I was a bouncer. So contact was not, I've never been afraid of it. I'd fight anybody, I didn't care. And it wasn't pretty. I call myself an educated gorilla. I didn't care what you are. I was going to be on you with all aggression because I never built anything based on fear. So I became very powerful because I was never trying to protect myself. It was up to the other person to try to figure out against a massive violent energy. So I was very good. And then I, through happenstance, got to meet my coach, who it's a long story, but just to say, I got exposed to what he shared, and I was in shock, to be honest. And nobody's ever done that to me. And I've seen a lot of. Everybody has an ego. Nobody can hurt me. And I was like, wow. I honestly have only fought people who don't know how to fight. And I fought guys who are really tough and strong. And I'm like, wow, this is different. This is different. I was drawn to it, but I was also drawn to the discipline of pain because it was one of the most painful things. If you wrestled or wrestling, wrestlers have a known reality that's different, that our conditioning and pain that's derived in wrestling sucks. It was one of the most. I got introduced to wrestling very early. It was one of the worst things I ever did. Like physically, it sucked, but it was one of the best things I ever did. I still think of my first coach as my first mentor. He probably doesn't remember my name. I was nobody substantial. I wasn't a great champion, anything like that. But the things I learned from that was hard work and the will to go through pain. Okay. And so when I met my coach who started teaching me, that was it. He gave me 95% pain to earn 1 ounce of intelligence. So I had to earn the right to see the science. And it was so painful and terrifying and scary that by the time he showed me the technology, I was like, thank you. Because it was painful. I actually put him through a little bit. I was like, I actually said, do you want to be a tourist or do you want to actually see what it is? Because you seeing and you tasting are 2 different things. Yeah. So I gave him the no more tourist visa. He's going to go in and he's going to taste it, and it's hard.
Trust me, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
I've seen a little bit.
No, you didn't.
He had never seen it.
No. Listen, I start training martial arts when I was like 5. Okay, a kid. So, but let's say at the age of 11, 12, I took it more seriously because I was already like a teenager, and I never stopped. Like, and when I met him in Poland, I heard like the guys were like sitting down outside and they were talking, and someone came up with Kali and yeah, Kali. And then I say, yeah, Kali, because I was training Kali for a while back then. And then we start talking, and I ask him, you train Kali? I say, actually, I'm a guru in Kali. I teach Kali, but I don't do commercially. I start training for me, and, I teach some guys from law enforcement, but, it's different. I don't want to be like the next gym or the next, tactical concept system, call it as you wish.
Kali, you mean the Kali?
So the Philippine martial art, yeah. With sticks, blades, yeah. So I remember I asked him, they're like, can you show me something? And he was like, I said, please. I said, listen, maybe you won't like it. I said, how come? For how long are you training now? I said, back then I was like, I don't know, 13 years, 14 years, something like that. And I said, you know why? I said, why? Because once I showed you, you saw it. So you might not like it because you're going to start questioning what you've been doing for the last how many years, whatever. And he didn't. And then like 2 years later, I was in Phoenix. We were training and he invited me to stay at his house. And one day I was like,
kept bugging me.
Yeah. I was curious. Come on, because it's the opposite. If someone is an instructor, teacher, master, whatever, he wants to show. The reason it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Some wants to show for the right reason. Some want to show how good they are. And no one never told me no. Yeah. You know what? Never mind. So he showed me, and it was a very simple number, we call it numbers, which are the angles, the lines of attack. And he showed me, and I was like, because I never saw like that. But he showed me once. So now you show me your number. And when I went to show the number, like in a blink, I was disarmed, and I had my eyes popped because he was almost breaking my neck. And I said, what the fuck just happened? I said, okay, I'm going to show you again. And then we started. But as he told you, like years passed, keep showing me like pieces and bits. But
I would want him to. This is the hard part for anything. For people who are not educated into higher levels, everything kind of looks the same. Oh, you like the stick stuff, and you hear me going like this because I am very hypercritical on what I see, and I don't see excellence. Okay. So when I see things, I look at, because I know what the ring looks like, the operational space, and how it works in the real world, because I worked in it. And so I'm like looking at them and the mental shift, the angles, all these little things that are not ingrained in the training at all. So to me, it's theater. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I see theater, it's disappointing. And I don't want to be associated with that. And it's not to say the ancestors or their education of this, but because that person doesn't have a job, doesn't implement into the ring, it's like learning how to speed, hit the speed bag and thinking you're a boxer. You're not a boxer. Yeah. You've learned to do the speed bag. You've done theater. You can go out there and build timing. And then the moment you get into the ring, you don't know operational space. You don't know speed. You don't know how to hunt. There's not all these things that happen. And so I see all that. And it's very disheartening to me. And then it's like, I don't even want to say that I'm part of this system, not to discredit anybody, but like I have a higher standard for what it looks like. So I expect, because of my standard, I want to see this from everybody else. So I will share with you what it looks like. I go, but it's gonna hurt you, because now you're gonna reflect on all your years of training with your teachers and your masters and realize what have you been doing, because it's not the same. So the quality of that thing, whatever it is, has to have truth behind it, has to have a value system. I can share with you the speed, timing, pressure, angles of this, and what the speed of this looks like. It's hard to explain until you see it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 50 and I still move pretty well.
Right.
Extremely well.
Very, extremely well.
Being humble.
The reason I try to maintain that is because I know it's the first time people are going to see it. And I'm not telling anybody I'm guaranteed a win. I'm not telling you I'm the best guy in the room. I'm not telling you anything. I'm just going to share with you what this looks like.
The very best you can do.
Excellent.
Yes, and I want to know what you think excellence looks like. Okay, and let's find out where we meet. So I do a lot of things based on. I always use Mike Tyson as an example.
Yeah.
I think very highly of the way he was coached. Okay, the style of his boxing is very similar to the style of the combatives I was taught. So, except for that, we use weapons and we also use hands to do breaking in this. But we do what is a concentrated hunting or a forward. Even through defense, we're always attacking.
Right.
Okay, and we are minimizing the engagement or speed, but we're never looking for the escape.
Yeah.
The reason I was coached this way was, if you're a sane human being, anything dangerous is coming near you.
You go opposite
We go
direction.
on. I don't have to train you to do that.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is you will automatically try to figure out how to get away from fire, edge weapons, anything else. It's not going to be pretty, but you're going to try to figure out how to run. So running or evasion is not the hard part. The angles and commitment to go forward is extremely difficult. Okay, it's extremely difficult they have to have the mental strength, the physical, and the education, and the ability to actually go from training phase to execution phase. Where do you find that? So what type of sparring are you doing? Are you working in an environment where you're getting stimulus on the street, in combat, or in your execution for your mission or your job? How are you going to implement? Because all of those look different. So most people never go from education to implementation because it's hard to do, especially with this. So it's a lot of theory. Okay,
Yeah.
I was exposed to that. I actually knowingly put myself in jobs that at least got physical. I was drawn to physicality. Okay, it was messy. I did everything from removal, boxing, what it is, headbutting. It didn't look great, but I built timing and understood the operational space. So I never discount anybody's talent. I respect everybody's in front of me. I believe everybody can hurt me.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, the way I teach Silat and Kali and my other systems, the integration is based on the combat principles. Is I'm going to take away your operational space. I'm going to erase your combat intent. Okay. What does that look like? It depends. It depends on where we're at and what the quality is at. When I share that, I show it to people, it's the first time they've seen it at that level, with that level of competence. Okay. And then I said, now that you can see in me and like I said, I'm at the presentation phase. So I recognize that I'm putting myself in a situation to show, is it reality based? I mean, is he attacking me naturally? And am I going to be able to replicate this under natural conditions? It depends. It depends on where my mind is. Do I really want to hurt the guy? It's
Right.
very hard to want to hurt somebody in a demonstration phase.
Yeah. Actually,
Because-
even in real fight, if your mind is not, you don't really want to. At least I don't feel like I really want to kill somebody. I really
Yes,
have,
but this is exactly what he said. Like, as sane people, you don't go out on the streets, okay, I'm going to kill people.
oh, so,
Yeah.
right?
If you're saying, if you respect like the law and all this stuff, but to achieve this level, you need to understand it's something up. Yeah.
The savage inside.
Yes.
Essa é uma das...
I personally have never trained in self-defense. I train to literally erase what your level of commitment is. If you're going to hurt somebody, I'm going to erase that. If you're going to hurt me, I'm going to erase that. I've never trained in how to protect myself. It does not exist. I always tell people I would rather teach you how to awaken the wolf than to try to teach the rabbit how to survive.
Yeah.
Does not work. I do not teach that. And that will never give you power.
That's a cool concept.
Acho que essa é uma frase boa, só pra gente falar em português, né?
É,
Que ele fala que ele sempre vai ensinar você a despertar o lobo em vez de ensinar o coelho a correr.
exatamente.
Então, por quê? Porque o conceito de defesa pessoal, o próprio nome já diz, né? Defesa. Então, para você se defender de algo, teoricamente, alguém tem que te atacar, né? Então, você vai se
Reagindo,
atacar. Exatamente.
Defesa é melhor ataque, o
Então,
ataque é melhor defesa.
Mas isso...
Mas
isso
na verdade,
Não de maneira
sim,
simplória.
sim,
eu acho que na verdade você desestimular o ataque, tipo assim, é você fazer com que a pessoa não te ataque.
mais ou menos
Mas
assim.
esse é o conceito também de apagar o comprometimento, né? Erase the commitment. Então, é o que ele fala sempre. Por exemplo, se eu quero te machucar, e vamos supor, com um soco, ele não vai te ensinar a defender esse soco e contra-atacar. Ele vai te ensinar e vai despertar em você a habilidade de fazer com que esse atacante desista de te atacar ou interromper esse ataque no meio do ataque.
Então, até aproveitar esse link.
I moved a little bit to Portuguese because
Okay,
the audience.
Deixa eu aproveitar esse link, que assim, uma das coisas que me motivou, na verdade, a buscar conhecimento, né, na parte da instrução de tiro.
You follow?
No.
So you're saying like one of the things that motivated him to follow and to search for knowledge into shooting
É justamente que eu via muitas instruções ensinando o cara, em português, claro, a pessoa morrer.
Yeah, he said like everything that he's used to see around him in shooting instructions is teaching the student how to get killed.
Yes.
Quando ele fala que
Unfortunately.
eu ensinava o cara a ser um atirador tático de papel.
Yeah, how can you become a tactical paper shooter?
E uma das coisas que eu vi na instrução dele foi justamente isso. Eu queria aproveitar e fazer esse link, talvez para ele falar.
And this is one of the main differences he saw when he was at your class teaching. You wasn't teaching him like how to survive or how to be the fastest and the more precise shooting paper. That was just like a target, but it could be something else, you know?
Então, aí, onde que surgiu justamente essa conexão da parte da luta com a parte do tiro?
Okay, so he wants you to talk a little bit about how did you integrate, when was the first time you integrated like the combatives
Shooting?
with the shooting?
When I first got into working with police,
Vocês querem que eu vá traduzindo ou não?
Não, manda pra casa, cara. Depois a gente vê.
Depois o Vá se vira para traduzir.
Okay.
Depois a gente bota os subtitles.
Deixa funcionar. Senão ele tá ali.
I was working with SWAT teams, helping, came in to show them what bad guys look like. Show them how, with their training, if they make mistakes, one man can kill a lot of people. So I came in to help departments in Arizona, became friends with a lot of them. They wanted to see, a lot of them wanted to be a weapon system, which is what they considered me, a human weapon system, not a guy who was carrying a weapon.
Right.
So what did that look like? So eventually I got to teaching undercover groups, police undercover, working in non-conventional formats. And I was showing them through the chaos space of fighting for their life, instead of fighting for survival, how do we win the advantage, erase it, how do we do it operationally, and then we would transition to a firearm. So I would work them to that point mentally, emotionally, and how to change from a fear state to an operational state. We got there, and then we would go to the world they should have known already. The moment they touched the gun, that's what they've been trained in. The problem is the moment they touched their firearms and started to draw, all of the things that I had talked about is the mental state, the physical state, the proper body, everything to allow you to do that thing. The moment they touched the gun, their prior training took over, which is very, very bad, the police training. And I looked at that and I was like, wow, that was, I got you all the way to here. And the moment you touch your firearm, you reverted back to fear-based, survival-based, all these things. And I looked at one of my partners who's a police officer and I said, I'm gonna have to actually teach him how to shoot. I didn't think they needed my help in shooting because that's where everybody goes. I thought they needed their help in hands because they really don't know really good combatants. So if I can teach them, for me, I have no fear when it comes to that. You touch my gun, it's bad news. You can do anything. So I'm here. So I'm never shooting or doing something based on fear. Yeah. In my operational mind, I have a lot of time. So I actually can save a lot of people because I'm never out of my area where I'm panicked. Okay, that's where I want to get them. We're not going to operate through panic. We're going to work. And so the moment they went back to gun, they reverted to behaviors. I call it the memories of that gun training that they had, which is all panic driven. So I said, okay, the next class I do, I'm going to have to add a day and take them to shoot. So we can reintroduce the stuff that we learned to solve one problem, how they integrate naturally to the fire. Okay. And what does that look like? So that's what I did. And that started in 2009. And so that wasn't like, that's what the community, and I saw this a lot in commonalities of it. So I started sharing that with the guys in my class. The hardest part, not the hardest part, one of the things I had to do early on, and I for some reason, even to today, I decided not to use the internet to showcase me.
Right.
Okay. My friend Chris, at the time I met him, I had no idea he was this incredible sniper, record holder, all of these things. He was just my friend. Okay. We didn't agree on everything. We talked to each other. I tried to stay out of his way. He recruited me for his company, and I wanted to make sure he was never embarrassed by hiring a civilian, in a sense, to be one of his guys. Everybody else was military, police, you name it, and here I was. I'm like, so why did you choose me? I didn't want to embarrass him. So I worked really hard. Once again, I wanted to change my standards. So when I went out there and represented his company, people weren't like, what did you bring? Okay, I was aware of that. So I didn't want to be this nobody. So I try to humble myself, try to give it, and I wanted people to see excellence. So those are always my goals. So with Chris, after unfortunately he was shot and killed, and fame hit, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't, like I said, this is one rare interviews that I do. I don't want people to think about me. I want them to think about the education. Hopefully the only thing I give is an inspiration to go work hard. Whatever it is you're going to do, I don't care if it's grandma's kung fu that taught you what it is, be phenomenal with it. Because I can't tell you it's wrong. Only you can know when you implement it to your world. Okay. So I will never tell you it's wrong. I will show you my opinion, what I do, and maybe you can evaluate, because I'm always fighting for my mission objective. What am I trying to do? How fast can I solve it? Okay. So those are the two equations I have to look at. And if you have something, I will go, that's not wrong. I will show you, maybe it follows the same patterns that I do, but I'll show you what mine does. And usually it's more, because I've thought this through a lot. What is the solution? What's the speed that I can operate at to do it? Okay. And can I do it under pressure? Those are the things I have to do. And I'll show you what it looks like. And then that's up to you to evaluate for yourself. And then you got to put the work. So that was the thing with Chris. I did not want to be famous. I don't want to be famous. It's hard for people to market me.
Yeah.
Trust me. Yeah.
Which is fine. And if we have 5 people in my class, then I'm going to give those guys the 5 best hours of their life. I'm going to give those guys the best ever. So I don't sit there and say this is a worthless class. I'm not here to make money off people. I'm here honestly because I'm here to educate. I got to make a living, but it's not like, I come in there, I actually care. Okay.
Yeah.
You have to care. I don't want to go and not care about it.
Parênteses, né, com relação a como que eu fui fazer o curso com o Rigo, né, o Lucas mandou uma mensagem para mim, a gente vai ter um curso com o Rigo. What the fuck is Rigo?
When Lucas invited me, like...
Aí ele falou, trust me. Aí ele falou, vai, confia em mim e vai. Tá bom.
Não, mas assim, conforme a gente vai, né, desenvolvendo o trabalho, essa é a 5th or 6th time you come here. 6th time, right?
Probably 16.
Sexta vez que ele vem para cá. As primeiras vezes que ele veio para cá, ele veio para treinar a gente, no caso. Vale lembrar também que quem trouxe, né, quem viabilizou a vinda do Rigo para o Brasil foi a Ironside Academy, que é a academia de treinamento tático militar policial no Rio Grande do Norte, Natal. Era dirigida pelo Keyson Lima. Ele hoje não pôde estar aqui, mas amanhã depois ele vai estar aqui com a gente. Eu trabalho com eles, né?
Sim.
A gente trabalhava junto na Europa, trabalhou junto no México, trabalha junto no Brasil. E nas primeiras vezes ele veio para treinar a gente para fazer alguns trabalhos também institucionais, né? Então, Polícia Civil, Secretaria de Segurança Pública, né? E não tinha esse cunho de, né, desse trend, né, dessa moda agora, tipo, curso civil e tudo mais. E foram aparecendo algumas oportunidades do tipo, ele vai estar aqui, então vamos chamar os amigos, chamar o pessoal próximo e colocar 2 dias de treinamento de pistola, ou um workshop
How do you say? I prefer organic growth.
Yeah,
Reputation.
o crescimento
So,
orgânico no boca a boca.
Boca a boca.
É.
Que nem
I
produção melhor, né?
Sim, sim.
prefer
Prefere-
instead of me creating theater on the Instagram
Porque muita coisa é teatro, né?
or
Então,
that and say, hey, look at me, because it's not about me.
Eu também prefiro, na verdade, esse também é um problema meu, né?
nossa, que foi.
Eu não consigo fazer uma autodivulgação, né? E isso é complicado. Mas no mundo atual, hoje, no Brasil, é complicado isso, né?
Eu vejo um pouco por mim, né? Porque ele volta para os Estados Unidos e eu continuo aqui. Então, às vezes, eu escuto umas histórias, as pessoas falam de mim, às vezes até falam para mim sem saber que eu sou eu. E eu falo, meu Deus, os caras inventaram esse negócio. Não? Porque existe essa... Né?
Mística.
E eu não... Tipo, agora, de um tempo para cá, eu entendi que é necessário. Fiquei fora do Brasil mais de 5 anos, entendeu? Eu viajo todo ano para trabalhar, porque, como eu falei, trabalho com segurança. Aqui no Brasil, faço pouca coisa, mas eu entendi que as pessoas precisam saber que eu existo, né? Então, mas eu também não estou preocupado em ser o próximo influencer ou algo do tipo, né? Eu tenho uma linha de pensamento muito próxima da dele, inclusive pela influência dele e das outras pessoas que eu conheci no meu caminho.
Uma coisa que eu tô curioso, eu até anotei aqui, cara. Beleza.
Eu não estou em inglês ainda.
No, porque you were talking English.
No,
Yeah. What drove you to this life? I mean, because you have no military background or law enforcement, and you.
It's a good question. I've been asked a lot. I think I started. It's cultural. I'm Mexican in the United States. I have different bloodlines, but I grew up in the Mexican border,
Right.
Arizona. So I'm a American, Mexican, white skin. So I didn't fit into the Mexican culture in the United States. So I got in fights, and then we would go to Mexico to visit our family. And I saw a lot of fights. I was involved in a lot of fights. I was a quiet kid. I didn't want to be in fights, but I had no choice. I saw my first murder when I was 10 years old. Yeah, in Mexico, a young kid was stabbed to death because a gang was looking for his brother, and they didn't, and they got to him. So these things impacted. I saw how cruel and violent the world could be. I hated bullies.
Right.
So I always would make sure, I don't care how big I was, I was not talented.
It's like you say, it's not the size of the dog, but the fight inside the dog, right?
So the bigger the bully, the more I would go.
Right.
So I didn't care. And so I would get hit. I got bled. I lost my teeth. I mean, I'm not saying I won everything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that if there was a bully, I was going to be the first kid, and I was tiny. I didn't grow very much until I became a senior in high school. So I was a tiny kid. I fought like a little person. Okay, and then I got bigger. And so, but I always had that mindset that I'm going first, regardless if I had any training at all. So my mindset was always there. So it was stupid and crazy. I was slowly integrating my training that I had gone through, and anybody knows about this. I've been coached and trained in all these different things. But when it came to street fighting, I'd always revert to like, it's messy. It's never pretty. It's a lot of things. People don't fight fair. You fight against multiple things. And so only when I got to college and I started bouncing and working, I worked with some phenomenal athletes, guys who are professional fighters. We were a brotherhood, and we were in fights a lot. I mean, I always tell people this. I was personally involved in probably about 3 to 5 fights a night. Over 3 to 4 nights a week.
Ele teve uma experiência sensacional.
Okay.
For how many years? Like you were training during the day and fighting during the
I was
night?
in college, and then I'd go to work,
Yeah.
and then every night there'd be different clubs we work at because they were problem clubs, so they would send all the guys, and
Então,
we were in there.
Let
So-
me translate. Então, assim, ele estava na faculdade, acredite ou não, ele estudava arquitetura.
Oh, you were I'm also an architect.
Okay. Yeah.
E aí ele fazia wrestling, né? E ele começou a trabalhar como bouncer, né? Tipo, ele é um chácara, tipo, nos clubes e tudo mais. Então ele treinava de dia e de 3 a 4 vezes por noite, quando ele estava trabalhando, ele tinha, sei lá, 4, 5 lutas dentro do bar ou da boate por dia.
So the engagements varied. like everything from containment. That means I have to grab you, escort you.
Tinha que agarrar a pessoa, tirar ela, botar ela para fora.
Maybe you fight me, maybe you don't. Okay. Usually, I'm not dealing with you. I'm dealing with you and multiple friends.
Yeah.
Sempre mais uma pessoa, né?
Mob group jumping in, people breaking bottles, all of this. So I was young, involved in this, and all my training that I learned on this like prior, when every time I was in the street, the timing not came out, the timing was off. In this environment, I was working through proper controls, hitting properly. All of my stuff started coming because I had so much activity every single day that the timing that you're not getting from sparring, this is a live sparring match.
Right.
And so, maybe I don't have to knock this guy out, but I'm holding him so he can think about it twice. Because if I don't do it right, he's going to fight me.
Yeah.
Okay, so each engagement had something how to deal with in different levels. And I got shot at. I mean, the levels were extreme in all of this, yes. So there was everything from nice, shake your hand properly, how to approach a person so he respects you, all the way to like, we're going 100%. And this happened throughout the night, multiple days,
One night.
over several years, okay? Before I started working out of the country, and then I got a job in security and started, because I can speak Spanish, I started working in Mexico and Latin America. And then I saw cruelty, I saw danger, I saw violence in a whole different level. I was like,
right?
evil. I saw things that I was like, yeah, they're not doing this in the US. This is a whole different level. Like, so my mental strength had to switch early on, because if I wanted to be down there in this dangerous environment, I had to realize that it was dangerous. I can die. There's nothing I can control. So the only thing I can control is if it happens, I'm going to be at 100% of my best. It's just not going to guarantee anything other than I'm going to be mentally ready. So I would develop that. And so I would develop also the training and violent level of training necessary to operate in that environment. So this is the major switch for me. When I came back to the United States, I tried to go back to college. I tried to go, okay, I'm done with the security. I'm going to go back to the university. I'm going to study business management, try to get myself back to normal life. Because what I'm doing is dangerous.
Yeah.
So I started bouncing again, started working security. And in that environment, the way I solved problems so fast, based on my experience being out of the country, people were terrified of me. Like, I would grab somebody and turn them and put them in a position so fast that before I used to struggle and fight, they can read in me the danger of what they're in.
Listen.
And it didn't matter how drunk they were or how many guys they were.
They would sober up like
this.
I'm telling you, this was a strange moment for me because I didn't know this was happening. So I would fight 19 guys. I'd grab one or two guys with the will to go to an extremely violent level that they'd never seen or tasted, but somehow in the collective group, they knew something dangerous is about to happen, and they would all figure out how not to go beyond that point. And I would move all 19 guys, and I would go, why are they all listening to me? They're bigger than me, there's more of them, and I'm by myself, and yet I was getting compliance. And that was the first turning point where I realized they're afraid of me because I'm not the same animal anymore.
Yeah.
That's what changed. And so with that, the technical stuff that I was being coached with became precise, fast, and I had this thing. That's what I started sharing with law enforcement. Like, listen, you understand, I can get compliance through pain, through fatigue, through this, or I can get it through fear. Through fear, the people to fear you, must recognize you have the means and the capability to do the thing.
And the will, right?
And the will to do so. If you don't have them together, they'll read it and they'll know because we're animals. We can smell it. But the moment you smell that, it becomes real and they go, what is this thing? It's not natural. It's not a natural thing to be around, and you don't know until you're around it. And so I was around it in Mexico.
Shit, I'm not really afraid, man.
Listen. I'm going to say in Portuguese. Eu sou amigo dele, eu conheço ele há mais de 5 anos, eu sou aluno dele, a gente tem uma relação de amizade, e ele faz demonstrações comigo, o Rodrigo viu lá, tipo, todo dia, toda hora, todo tempo, e às vezes muitas vezes eu ainda fico assustado, mesmo sabendo que ele não vai me machucar. Eu nunca conheci ninguém que conseguisse controlar, aplicar e direcionar a agressividade da maneira que nem ele. I still get afraid sometimes. I know you're not going to hurt me.
Because even when I'm doing demonstrations, the chemical reality to there's a wall that you have to break through to do something extremely violent.
Right.
Okay, because it's not natural for us, and you can't talk about it and think it's going to be executable later on. You have to train through this thing. It's very, very difficult. Okay, and it's not for everybody. Trust me. I don't want most people here to know what I can do, because the moment you can break that wall, you are a dangerous person.
Yeah.
I'm curious now, man.
Okay.
You want to see me get hurt, right? Yeah. Tomorrow.
So when I do demonstrations, I try to do it in a way where I don't activate that chemical side of me, but sometimes it gets activated, and everybody in the room goes, like, they can feel it immediately, because I'm moving very different like an animal, and it's the technical precision of it is there because it's been married together for the technique. Okay, because that's the way it is. It can't be separate. Right. And because you are bringing things to this to do something extremely not natural within our human reality to do to each other. Okay, yeah. So that's why a lot of people, and I believe in it too. Like, if somebody says, "Well, I can do like technique 1, 2, 3, and I can hurt you here," we all laugh about it. I'm like, really? I don't think you can, because mentally we can see the separation in will and commitment to that technology. There's no way they can do it under pressure and speed.
Right.
Okay,
Makes sense.
it's very hard. It's a wall.
Aproveitando, cara, queria fazer um link com isso, que o lema, né, de assim, não sei se dá dizer o lema, mas da TechFlow é Precision of Violence, né?
The motto.
The motto. E eu fiquei pensando justamente nessa questão do quanto, principalmente nós que eu digo, quem trabalha com segurança pública, precisa alternar, isso deveria ser necessário e essencial para quem trabalha.
He's saying like the motto of TechFlow is Precision of Violence, and he was trying to understand people who work in law enforcement, how can get to a point where they will alternate or turn the switch on.
It's hard because they're public service. Their job is to protect the community. Their job is to be there first. But every time they get called out to something, their heart chemicals change. It's toxic, and then they go on this high-speed chase, and something doesn't happen, and now they're left with all of this poison in their body. They go home, their wife and their kids are not relatable. That's why divorce rate is so high. Suicide rate for law enforcement is out the roof. All of these things is poison in you. You have to figure out a way to go. Go hit a heavy bag. You have to go and train. My coach, when I came back to the United States, I was hyperly aggressive. Like, if my conflict resolution is if you did anything, it's bad. Okay, so I had to find an outlet not to hurt people.
Yeah.
So I trained because that outlet allowed me to find it and put myself in positions where I do this. And that training gave me another level of execution. And because I always tell people this: once you get to a certain point in your experience, it doesn't matter if it's sport related or the game, you can't really tell somebody, like, the textures of things change. Like, if you're a baseball player, you'll see the seams of the baseball if you're on the back, because you're to a point where you've done it enough, you can see the speed, and we can take moments and integrate it. For me, I had those moments out there in the lab community against real people. I can smell textures, dilations of eyes, and things and saliva. So
did you think that your age improved your technique? Because
well, this is the hard part. As you get older, you can get smarter, and unfortunately, can your body share what you can think? And that's the game. Like, I share with you what I know now that I wish I knew when I was in my 30s. When I was in my 30s, I was a vehicle of destruction and speed that most people have never seen. What I'm trying to do now is maintain enough so you get a glimpse of what I used to look like.
So you can do it a little.
So I can at least share with you that, hey, I used to be a little faster when I was younger. I was this. I could take more punishment. now, you know what? It's not about me. I just want to share with you what it kind of looks like, hopefully.
Right.
And I can coach you based on your mission. If you're a civilian, I'm not going to take you down a route where you have to go through me, because like that's such a different thing. But if you're in law enforcement or in the military program, then I know what your priority of mission has to be.
Right.
Okay. Civilian, if you use any intelligence, if you're not like me, because I was not intelligent, I would put myself in really bad positions. I was addicted to it. It was very dangerous that I got. Like I said, I'm lucky to be here.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm very lucky. I know that I'm not the best at anything. I just got lucky. So that being said, that's kind of the whole thing. That's how I got involved with Craft International, which is my related friend. And that's why I continue teaching, because he's one of the guys who asked me to teach.
Speaking of teaching, sorry to cut you. Can you give us a little glimpse of what your clinic?
Oh, the clinic, about the clinic.
Here.
Yes. I always kind of look at, what can I help people with? What do I see? One of the things I learned in martial arts and in this community, everybody's gun first. They do a lot of drills, and I don't think the drills are bad. I've been educated. I've been exposed to great teachers that come from different communities. And because I have been exposed, I have a different opinion now, because based on my training. So I try to share that opinion and say, maybe it's something you should think about. Okay, so one of the opinions I have is operational space. What does that look like to you? Because the speed of any game in baseball, basketball, whatever you choose, you have a plan, you set the plan up, and then you go out there and it goes disaster because contact and speed and everything changes. Gunfighting is different. Most people have never been in a gunfight in their life, maybe never be in their life, and they can be tactically on a team for years, okay, and never pull the gun in anger, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And I don't there's no discredit or value to that. But imagine being trained in football for 10 years and never getting, and when you go to the game, we get to the scrimmage, but you actually never run a play, never have oppositions.
Right.
Okay. So the first time you get shot at, you're expected to be great at it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, we don't do that in anything else at high level that has a consequence.
A life and death consequence in that case, right?
Yeah, in that case, it's even higher level because there's a life and death
stakes.
consequence, and you're trying to save lives. And how do we train that? The best kind of training for me has been force on force.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to get punched back. You have to get hit to realize that, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's like being in a ring for martial artists. I can say all this goofy stuff, and my kung fu is better than your kung fu, and I get in the ring and somebody chokes me out and puts me into this.
Yeah.
Well, that sucked. So all my theories went down the throat. I have to self-evaluate. So I do see the value of all types of training, and I have to realize where's the reality for my mission. Am I going to be in the ring or going to be in the street? Is it more? So that's how I pattern me. Right. So if I was going to be more in the ring, then I would go to MMA coaches, and I would have that design and coaching to help me get there. If you're going to be more in a non-conventional environment or working in this thing, then that's where I'm a coach. I have to help you with the starting points are different. You don't have a resume of who you're dealing with. You don't know how many people. You don't know the nature of a level of commitment on their level that they're going to go to. You don't know if you want to go to the ground or don't want to go there. All fights go to the ground. I go, it depends. It depends.
Yeah, no, it's only
There's
the unknown factor,
yeah.
right?
So there's so many factors in that, and that's a very different coaching environment that we have to deal with. That's like playing 5 different sports at the same time. It's like, how do we solve that? And it changes, and nothing's fair. Nothing's fair. Nothing's out of bounds. And so the escalation of that fight can change so fast that's what people, I'm like, I can look, I go, that's great. Let me add one more thing to it. And then that thing breaks down. I go, so let's consider, how do we solve that good information you have, change it so we can solve multiple things as we can, as much as we can. We can't solve everything, but we're going to try to at least go to that point. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to at least open their eyes to what is a training scar, like what they learn on the shooting range. Does it translate to the operational fighting environment? Some of it does, some of it doesn't. And I think they'll be, how do you see, they'll have to have an internal readjustment to realize what type of training they're doing for themselves. Did it actually produce what they thought it was going to produce? Are they happy with their training? Or are they actually somewhat surprised that it didn't change any results for them? All these years of training didn't produce a better result. That's a sad thing, and that happened to me too. Or I had to go through that and do an evaluation to figure out, wow, what's not working. And so I'm here kind of just to expose to them in the small clinic, like, hey, you need to start thinking about what type of training you're doing. I'm not even saying it's the coaching that you're going to, it's not their fault. You have to take what they're giving and you have to put it into an environment for yourself to see what it is. There's a lot of great teachers here that I would go to their classes. I learn all the time. So if they're going to do a trigger, like there's guys who are really good at red dots, I need to go to that class. Trigger, like whatever it is, I'll learn. But if you want to learn operational space in this, I don't think really right now a lot of people are actually even discussing it. They haven't seen it or haven't. So I just want to give them a little bit of understanding what it looks like. So we're just going to do evaluations, and it's a sense of discovery. The clinic I'm putting to, it's a discovery clinic, and they're going to go, okay, now I know all the things I'm not good at. Now I know how to adjust my training from this point on. What do I have to go look at? Okay.
Nice.
So it's a big boy or big girl moment, like to realize that I need to work.
Só avisando que eu vou pedir afastamento do trabalho durante a clínica dele, tá?
Não, tranquilo. Até eu tô curioso.
Eu acho até que
A gente não vai gravar durante a clínica dele.
a clínica ela vai acontecer. A clínica vai acontecer segunda e terça. Ela acontece em 2 momentos no dia. Ela acontece de manhã, na parte da manhã e na parte da tarde. Então, na parte da manhã, ela começa às 8, são 4 horas de duração, ela vai das 8 a meio-dia. A gente tem um intervalo para almoço e aí retorna às 14 até às 18 horas.
Caraca, bancada.
São 4 horas. Nós temos aí, imagino, o Sansone falou que está sold out, né, que o pessoal abraçou com veemência. Então, nós somos 25 alunos por clínica, né? Vamos colocar assim.
Cara, se eles tivessem visto esse podcast aqui do jeito que a paixão que o Rigo fala, cara, meu irmão...
Basicamente...
Mas eu já garanti a minha presença como
They said they're not going to record a podcast next week because they want to attend to the clinic.
You'll have fun. You'll have fun.
Vão se divertir. Yeah. E, basicamente, rápido, numa síntese rápida em português, para o pessoal que está assistindo a gente, 4 horas é muito pouco tempo para você fazer uma instrução e você mudar. Tipo,
4 anos é pouco tempo.
Mas qual que é a ideia? A ideia é falar de espaço operacional, tá? E mostrar as cicatrizes de treino, que ele falou que são range scars, de shooting range, né, de stand de tiro. Por quê? Porque num stand de tiro, seja ele aberto ou fechado, ou toda vez que a gente está manuseando uma arma de fogo, a gente tem uma responsabilidade e uma preocupação muito grande com regra de segurança.
Sim.
Tá? E é válido. Eu sou um dos maiores advogados das regras de segurança. Eu acho que sem segurança não tem treinamento, independente se é com arma ou desarmado. Tá? Então, a gente acaba trazendo essa preocupação em relação às regras de segurança, que é uma das cicatrizes, tá? Para o ambiente operacional. Então, por exemplo, dedo fora do gatilho, ou controle de cano. Se eu tenho um mala, se eu tenho um criminoso, se eu tenho um cidadão que quer atentar contra a minha vida, o meu cano tem que estar apontado para onde?
Para ele.
Mas eu não estou pronto para atirar ainda. O meu dedo tem que estar onde? Fora no gatilho, no gatilho. Eu efetuo 1, 2 disparos, trago a minha arma para a posição de compressão, ou jogo o meu cano na posição sul, ou boto num pronto alto. A ameaça está neutralizada? Tá, então, assim, não estou entrando no mérito do que é certo, o que é errado.
São
questionamentos, exato. A ideia da clínica, só para concluir, é o quê? É pegar esses temas todos e essas coisas que acontecem e fazer um questionamento. É uma exposição, tipo, é um momento de descoberta. Será que eu estou fazendo o que é preciso fazer para sobreviver numa situação de contato?
Sim.
Tá? E não é para apontar dedo para ninguém e falar você está certo, você está errado. É para você ter um
insight.
Exato. E você fala, bom, talvez eu não tenha nada aqui que eu tenha que modificar ou que melhorar. Eu penso, e até com uma certa convicção de que eu sou um aluno eternamente.
Sim.
Então, toda experiência que eu tenho, seja num curso, num treinamento, numa palestra, nesse bate-papo que a gente está tendo aqui, sempre tem coisas que eu posso melhorar, que eu posso aprender. O dia que eu achar que eu não tenho mais nada para aprender, acabou. Pelo menos para mim, acabou. Eu não espero que os outros pensem igual a mim, mas essa é a percepção que eu tenho. Então, a ideia da clínica é essa, e também, obviamente, despertar o interesse por conhecer mais do nosso trabalho, entendeu? Mais do que a TechFlow faz. I was just translating what you said.
Okay. Sound good.
Yeah.
Vamos para a pergunta.
I was moved, ok?
Para a pergunta-chave.
Vamos lá. We used to, we range in 1 hour, but we passed and I say, let him talk.
Okay. All right.
I'm kind of in love.
It's not much of a talk.
Yeah. I'm kind of afraid and in love. I don't know the feeling,
This is probably, I don't do interviews very much.
It's a talk, but right.
Well, I'm always nervous about the community.
Right.
What I mean by that is when I see there's always Instagram influencers and shooters out there,
Right.
and there's things that I like or don't like, but I don't ever comment.
Right.
Because I always take into account maybe the angle of the film wasn't right.
Right.
Maybe he's in the process of showing the student and it's not the finished product. So a lot of people have to take that. And I always tell people, be careful what you post on your internet, because people are going to either try to validate or this, and you might be in the process. So I rarely post anything about me. First of all, I'm hypercritical of myself. I never think I look good. So I think I am never done. So if I post it, it makes people think, I think of myself, am I done? No. I think I can get better than that. So I'm never happy. So I don't post anything I do. I don't like to post my students because I don't want to hurt their reputation. Because I work with a lot of professionals.
Right.
And I'm not there to create content. So if I do post it, usually my guys in my team, they post a lot more than me.
Right.
But I'm always kind of aware of that. I want to make sure I protect people's reputation and this, good or bad or different. Even if guys are posting, I don't ever, good. My like some things, maybe not. I have an opinion. I could be wrong. It's my opinion. I may be subject, like everybody else, see something and go, that looks dumb. And then maybe I need to see it in person.
Right.
Maybe it's different when there's actually a person in front of you moving you and you're like, okay, that was real, because everybody thinks they know everything. I do have a lot of opinions, but I'm also aware that I need to shut up. Okay, and that's important.
We're happy to keep it for ourselves.
Well, I'll even say it and recognize this is my opinion, but I could be wrong. I can be 100% wrong and go, I don't know what I'm talking about. That guy, it doesn't look right, but you know what? He's very good with bad information. And it might work because he's done it enough times. I couldn't get away with it.
Right.
I would think it's not good and it might be dangerous, but that guy's making it work. So I have to be at least aware and apologetic to go, you know what? I will give somebody their opportunity. And if that's the guy you want to go for training, I can't get upset about it. I'm not going to play the game. Like if you go to an instructor and I think he's dangerous or this, I go, I'll give you my opinion, but at the end of the day, if you go and you like that guy, go. I mean, it sucks, but I can't coach everybody.
Right.
I can't be 20 different people, and the community goes where they like the people.
Right.
Most people don't know me, so they don't know if they like me until after they meet me. So it's a harder threshold to break into.
Let me tell you, it's an easy sell.
But most people don't know me at all.
Right.
I honestly, I'm here to make you better. Okay.
Right. I believe it.
So-
I actually believe
It's not about money. It never was.
it. Yeah.
So in the U.S., because my clientele is mostly law enforcement,
Right.
I didn't want to become an influencer or Instagram or doing my daily affirmations
Right.
and all that. I'm not saying that's wrong, but because of the clientele that I primarily work with, I have to be very careful if they think, is this guy coming to train me or is he here to create content for his channel?
Right. Exactly.
So early on, I wanted to make sure people realize that I'm not here to create content. I'm not here to tell everybody I'm all over Brazil or this. Like maybe put one post that said I'm in Brazil. I didn't say nothing, even to people, not even to the United States. I don't say really anything because honestly, if you want to come see me, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a good.
So it's hard for the guys who want to promote.
No, but it's getting easier, you know, like.
Yeah.
And again, I don't have to convince you. Like, listen, this training is gonna happen. I believe there's something you might see.
I think you'll like some.
If you want to get better,
Curious.
but if you want a discount, if you want to come for free, or if you want me to convince you why you should be here, never mind. You know, like
Right.
I'm not the one losing it. You know, like I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna learn more. I'm gonna train.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make new friends, and we're gonna have fun.
So yeah, it's
Painful fun.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it'll be fun.
Trust me. Fun.
Let me give you our final question.
Okay.
Well, as our motto, it's like a freedom with responsibility,
Yes.
right? Something like that. And so that's it. What is freedom to you? What does it mean? And what are you willing to do to keep yours and your loved ones?
Well, freedom. I come from the old way. You know, I think most people who've never had freedom don't know what they're losing, and they get a taste of it. I think it's once they get a taste of it, it's hard to go. Okay. Right now in the United States, we're in this weird phase where people are willing to give up freedom for control, and it's a little scary. And I don't like talking politics because I'm a libertarian, which means that I believe the government should be out of your business.
Yeah.
You should be
I like
able.
that.
You should be able to conduct yourself. We still have to have a rule of law. So because we interact together,
Sure.
I don't want to overstep myself and ruin your day. Okay, so I need a governing body that says, okay, you can do everything great until don't go into his world and ruin his life. You know.
Right.
So, but as far as that extent, that's it. I want people to have the right to do a business that without hurting other people. And, for me, I didn't care about politics for most of my life because I was always the anti-bully guy.
Right.
So if you were hurting somebody that I didn't think was right, I'm
Doesn't matter the side.
gonna come after you.
Yeah.
So if you were hurting people at the lower political level or spectrum, if you were hurting women, or if you were hurting kids, you were hurting, homosexual, gay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I agree with anything they do,
Yeah.
but if you're hurting somebody, I'm gonna stop you. Okay, that was me on a political level. Right now, I just feel that the political spectrum has switched so much that the people who are trying to hurt people are those in the past who felt that they were disenfranchised. They're now taking upon it to get retribution and trying to get hurt. And I'm like, wait a second, man. I worked to make sure that you guys were good. Now you're forcing me to actually have to look at you as the bully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Perfect.
So to me, the bullies have become those who think they're leftist liberals, and to me, I think they're the bullying power in charge right now. Okay. And it doesn't mean I can't be compassionate to some of the things, but what they're willing to do to separate hurt and do this is to me almost like, okay. And I always call myself, I belong to the rationalist party.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I believe I'm not so far to one side or the other. I believe what makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
How do I not hurt people? What can we do? Try to take emotions out of it to come out with the best policy at this way. I'm not saying if it's a liberal or conservative policy. What makes sense to me? How do we? Sorry.
No worries.
So that's where I'm at a political level. Usually it has a lot of conservatives, some liberal. I'm in the middle because I've seen things out there that I go, I like to help people. Okay. How do I do that without destroying the infrastructure of how to do that? What makes sense? So all these things as I get older, I get more educated on. I go, yes, I got to look at statistics. I didn't do that when I was younger. I just looked at emotion. You're going to hurt that person, I'm going to hurt you. Don't do that thing. So right now what I'm seeing is definitely a movement, especially in the United States, of a culture of people who want to hurt people emotionally, cultural divisiveness and all this. And I'm like, this isn't creating any unity at all. I don't care what spectrum politically you come from, but that to me. And so they're actually willing to risk freedom to do it, which is dangerous.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 points. So I will protect freedom. So, you know, if they want to be the bully, they're going to waken a lot of guys like me up who are anti-bully. Okay. So.
Oh, that's great. Well, I think we're gonna wrap up. Not because we won,
No,
but because we have time.
Yeah, short on time.
Yeah, but man, we really appreciate. Thank you,
Yeah.
Rodrigo,
Yeah,
because
thanks for-
he said, "Oh, I'm gonna ask Rigo. He doesn't like to do that. Then I'm gonna give it a try."
And then he came and asked me, hey, listen, I have to ask you something.
Remember, everybody out there, if they listen to me the first time, I don't know anything. It's my opinion, and it could.
I could be wrong.
I can be wrong.
But
I
so
always
far, I'm
accept
doing
that.
great.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm here to give you my opinion, but I could be wrong, and I'm here to share.
Yeah.
That's it. But I, you know, like I said, it's about the end result. What do you get out of it for you? So,
E agradeço a oportunidade também.
Que isso, cara.
Espero que essa seja a primeira de muitas.
Com
Acho
certeza.
que depende da gente.
E para quem, né, acompanhou aqui ou vai assistir, que eu imagino que vai ficar salvo.
Não, fica salvo.
Quem quiser mais informação sobre o trabalho da TechFlow, o meu trabalho, o trabalho dele, o trabalho que é desenvolvido aqui, pode contactar a gente através das redes sociais. O Rigo não tem. He doesn't have an Instagram.
Makes sense.
Ele não gosta. Eu tenho um que eu acabei tendo que abrir.
what company does?
A empresa tem, TechFlow Academy.
Yeah.
Depois eu passo para vocês.
But I don't even post on it.
Yeah.
My guys post
Yeah.
because I.
Oh, it's a way to reach you at least,
You
right?
can reach
Yeah.
me through
Yeah.
that, yes. You can write a message, and I'll probably can get somebody will go, hey, somebody sending you a message, and I'll be like, okay.
Vocês podem também entrar em contato através do meu. Depois eu passo.
Não, manda tudo aí, já vou botar no link.
E ano que vem a gente vai ter uma agenda após o evento. A gente vai estar divulgando a agenda. A gente passa até as datas e os cursos para o ano que vem. A gente vai abrir já a inscrição esse ano, porque a gente sabe que é difícil se programar e tudo mais, e eu sei porque eu também sou brasileiro, então eu sei que a gente gosta de deixar as coisas para a última hora, e às vezes não dá certo, mas aí a gente vai passando mais informação.
Gente, obrigado. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, prazer.
É isso aí, gente. Falou.
Valeu!
Nice.
Vamos ver.